Ireland, a small island nation, has a history marked by deep divisions and complex relationships. The Troubles, a period of intense conflict in Northern Ireland, were deeply rooted in these historical tensions and divisions. From the 12th century onwards, English influence grew steadily in Ireland, altering its social and political landscape. This led to centuries of struggle, resentment, and numerous uprisings against English rule. In the 1920s, Ireland was partitioned, creating a significant divide. This partition created Northern Ireland, which remained part of the United Kingdom, while the rest of Ireland became a separate entity. This division was a major source of the conflict that would follow. Many Irish Catholics in Northern Ireland felt like second-class citizens, marginalised in their own land. They faced systemic discrimination in areas like housing, employment, and political representation. The Protestant community, largely descended from British settlers, wanted to remain part of the UK, fearing change. They feared being absorbed into a predominantly Catholic Republic of Ireland, which they saw as a threat to their identity. This fear fueled deep distrust and animosity between the two communities, leading to frequent clashes. The partition of Ireland created a volatile situation with both sides entrenched in their positions. It set the stage for decades of unrest, violence, and a struggle for identity and rights that would shape the region's history. Centuries of British rule left deep scars on the Irish psyche, creating a legacy of resentment and resistance. The Great Famine of the 1840s, which decimated the Irish population, was seen by many as a deliberate act of genocide by the British government. This catastrophic event led to the deaths of over 1 million people and forced another million to emigrate. This period of mass starvation and emigration fueled Irish nationalism and anti-British sentiment, as the Irish people sought to reclaim their identity and sovereignty. The struggle for home rule, a form of self-governance for Ireland, further exacerbated tensions. The Irish Parliamentary Party fought tirelessly for this cause, rallying support across the nation. The Easter Rising of 1916, a rebellion against British rule, was a pivotal moment in Irish history. It marked a significant escalation in the fight for independence. Though brutally suppressed, the Rising and its aftermath galvanized Irish Republicans. The execution of its leaders turned them into martyrs, inspiring further resistance. The War of Independence, from 1919 to 1921, saw the IRA fight a guerrilla campaign against British forces. This intense conflict involved ambushes, raids, and a relentless struggle for freedom. This conflict led to the partition of Ireland, creating a divided island with Northern Ireland remaining under British control. This division, seen as a betrayal by many Irish nationalists, sowed the seeds for future conflict. The partition left deep divisions within communities, fueling ongoing strife. The legacy of these historical grievances played a key role in shaping the Troubles, a violent conflict that erupted in the late 20th century, leaving a lasting impact on the region. The late 1960s saw a resurgence of civil rights activism in Northern Ireland, a movement that sought to address long-standing grievances and demand equal rights for all citizens. Inspired by the American Civil Rights Movement, Catholics demanded an end to discrimination in housing, employment, and voting rights, hoping to achieve a fairer society. However, peaceful protests were often met with violence from both loyalist mobs and the Royal Ulster Constabulary, the predominantly Protestant police force which used heavy-handed tactics to suppress the demonstrations. In August 1969, riots erupted in Derry and Belfast, leading to widespread chaos and destruction. This marked the beginning of the Troubles, a period of intense conflict that would last for decades. The British Army was deployed to restore order, but their presence further inflamed tensions, as many saw them as an occupying force. The IRA, which had been largely dormant, saw a resurgence in support as many Catholics turned to them for protection and retaliation. It began a campaign of violence against the British state and loyalist paramilitaries, targeting both military and civilian targets. Loyalist paramilitary groups, determined to keep Northern Ireland part of the UK, responded with equal brutality, attacking Catholic communities and IRA members. The conflict escalated into a cycle of violence and reprisal, with each side seeking revenge for the latest atrocity. Bombings, shootings, and assassinations became a tragic reality of daily life, leaving a lasting impact on the people of Northern Ireland. The Troubles were a complex conflict with a multitude of players. On the Republican side, the Provisional IRA was the dominant force. Led by figures like Gerry Adams and Martin McGuinness, the IRA sought a united Ireland through armed struggle. On the Loyalist side, groups like the Ulster Volunteer Force and the Ulster Defence Association carried out attacks against Catholics and the Irish state. Loyalist paramilitaries were often associated with criminal gangs involved in racketeering and drug dealing. British politicians, including Prime Ministers Harold Wilson, Margaret Thatcher and John Major, grappled with the conflict. Their policies, often seen as heavy-handed and insensitive, further alienated the Catholic community. The Troubles became an intractable problem, claiming thousands of lives and leaving a legacy of trauma and division.